UFC 286, Edwards versus Usman 3. The rematch. Well, really, it's the trilogy fight, but really feels more like a rematch, if I'm being honest.
I know, it's funny. I keep thinking the same thing.
In London, the champion's home court, going down at the O2 Arena in London, England, headlined by Leon Edwards, the now UFC welterweight champion, taking on Kamaru Usman. Before we talk about a handful of fights on this card, are there any other fights or fighters that you guys want to quickly spotlight for our listeners and viewers?
I mean, a good majority of this card, for being honest. Muhammad Makhachev is on this card, definitely one to watch. Omar Morales is another one that's really good to watch. Even the Jai Herbert Ludovic Klein fight is pretty damn intriguing. I got to say, that's a really fun fight right there.
Yeah,
the return of Joanne Wood. There's a couple of good ones on there, a couple of good fighters individually that are not bad to watch. I'm sure Mark has a couple more to look out for. I'm sure his boy Dusko will be on there. Dushku?
That's not my boy.
That's not your boy? You don't like Dushku?
Dushko.
It's okay. Dushko.
Yeah, definitely a few. If you remember Veronica Macedo from her first UFC run, she is now Veronica Hardy, as she has married our boy Dan Hardy.
Oh, wow.
She makes a return to the UFC here, which I find interesting because they're not exactly on the greatest terms with Dan Hardy, but I guess no problems signing Veronica. So she's fighting Juliana Miller, tough winner. So interesting fight there. I'm sure Miller will be favored in that one. As Omar said, Joanne Wood, who we thought was leaving the UFC, back in the UFC. She's fighting Luana Carolina. I'm hoping she can bounce back here. And then there are some names to watch. The UFC kind of did the thing they do sometimes where it's like, we're in London, we're going to put the London guy against someone who they hopefully beat. But there's a handful of those. Jake Hadley's on the card, who's fun. He's fighting Malcolm Gordon. This dude, Christian Leroy Duncan, making his debut against Dushko, who you mentioned. There's some hype on him as a kickboxer, well-rounded MMA fighter, but kickboxing background. Lerone Murphy is fighting Gabriel Santos. And then, as you said, Muhammad Makhachev fighting Jafel Filo. So definitely some names worth watching. We're not doing previews on all these because a lot of them are a little bit one-sided odds-wise, but worth watching for sure.
All right, first fight up. Going down in the... Is this bantamweight or featherweight?
So it's featherweight. Jack Shore has moved up to featherweight. He was struggling a bit with the cut and decided it was time to pull the trigger.
Okay. So we've got Jack Shore, Tank, taking on Makwan, Mr. Finland, Amirkhani. So Jack Shore, the 28-year-old out of Wales, 16-1 as a pro, just got handed his first professional loss by none other than Mr. Ricky Simone, who we have already invoked on this episode. Before that, he was 16-0 and undefeated in the UFC thus far, no longer. He's now 5-1 in the UFC, taking on Makwan Amirkhani out of Finland, of course, 34 years old, 17-8 as a pro with 12 submission wins on his record. Jack Shore, no stranger to the sub. 8 wins on his record have come by way of tap out. Mark, let me start with you. Give me your take and your pick. Amirkhani versus Shore.
So Shore's a pretty big favorite despite the jump up in weight class. Very big, I should say. He's minus 520. Amirkhani is plus 380. So a lot of respect from the books on Jack Shore, who was a very good bantamweight. As I said, he moves up here. He's had some weight issues, decided he didn't want to make that cut anymore. So he will lose the size advantage that he had at times at bantamweight. He's actually 2 inches shorter than Makwan, 1 inch less reach. And we know Makwan is dangerous as hell for those first 5 minutes. So it will be, it won't be any easy welcome into featherweight when that bell rings, because Makwan does come out hard. But I think Shore's game is too good and that he's too composed to get blitzed by Makwan, who kind of just looks for the quick takedown, quick sub type of deal. I think he does fine to get through round one, and I think he can take it over from there. Makwan usually will tire a bit, I think, as he does. Shore will start to find more and more advantages, and I think he eventually gets Makwan out of there on the ground as Amirkhani tires more. So I'll say Jack Shore round 3 TKO.
Okay. Omar?
I like that take. I don't think he's going to be able to get Makwan out of there, though. I think it's going to end up getting progressively worse, especially with the control on the ground. I think Jack Shore has that ability for sure, but I don't think it'll happen until the second round. I think there'll be some get-ups in round 1 if he doesn't, getting some takedowns with some control on the fence. But I think when it's all said and done, I think Jack Shore will end up taking the 3 rounds, and it'll be a unanimous decision.
Okay. I am also on the Jack Shore train, straight out of Wales. How many Welsh fighters are there to begin with? My God.
I don't think very many.
Poor Wales, just getting shit on for their whole existence by England and everybody else before the Brits. Yeah, I'm a Jack Shore fan, man. I think he's going to. I think he's going to get him out of there. I'm going to say he's going to hand Amirkhani another loss. He's been dealing with a lot of losses. That is Amirkhani in his recent bouts. I'm going to say he's going to get him out of there. Round 2 TKO.
Yeah, I actually thought he may get cut after his last one, so this may be it.
Okay. Hopping up into the middleweights fun fight. Yep. We have a scrap on our hands. Marvin, the Italian Dream Vettori, taking on Roman, the Caucasian Dolidze. Or Dolidze. I've heard it both ways. Vettori, really needing no introduction to frequent listeners of this show, the Italian Dream. The 29-year-old out of Italy. He is 18-6 with 1 draw, 2 knockouts, 9 submission victories on his record, most recently coming off of a loss at the hands of Robert Whittaker. Roman Dolidze rising through the middleweight ranks. The 34-year-old out of Georgia. He's on a tear, 4-fight win streak coming into this weekend. He's 12-1 as a pro with 7 knockouts. Omar, let me kick it over to you first. Give us your take and your pick of Dolidze versus Vettori.
Such a good fight, man, because this is one of those opportunities for Dolidze where he can really use his forward pressure and that pace to really overwhelm Vettori. I just don't know if it will. I feel like that might be the game plan. That's I feel like his bread and butter. But I feel like Vettori can kind of be a tank sometimes, stand his ground. And he lands big shots, man. He's not bad in the counter. He's not bad on the pocket. So I'm going to go with Vettori here. I don't think that he gets Roman Dolidze out of there. I think it becomes a pretty back and forth fight. I don't think either one of them is going to allow each other to get significantly over on the other. But I think Vettori, especially with his experience in there, his championship experience, I want to say he's going to be able to be smart enough to edge out these rounds, at least 2 of them. So I go with Vettori by unanimous decision.
Mark, give us that pick and your overall impression of this matchup.
Fun matchup here, for sure. Vettori, as you would probably expect, is favored. He's minus 275. Dolidze is plus 225. He is the bigger man. He's 2 inches taller. He's going to have 2 inches of reach in his corner over Vettori. He has looked super dangerous lately, but this is a big, big step up for him in terms of competition. Vettori has proven time and again how good he is, how well-rounded he is, how tough he is, and impossible to hurt he is. It's a lot to ask from Roman Dolidze, and I don't think he's quite ready to get past a Marvin Vettori. I think Marvin has to be careful, but I still think he can push a pace like he does, work behind volume, and generally just rack up some clean shots on Roman as the fight goes on. I don't think Dolidze is ready to strike with a guy like that. And Vettori's such a tank that I don't think traditional takedowns are going to work too well either. So, yes, like Dolidze can pull something crazy and find some huge moment. We've seen him do that. But I'm not going to bet on that. And remember, Jack Hermansson brought Dolidze to the ground, which is what gave him an opening in a fight that Jack was winning prior to that in both the striking and the grappling. Vettori's not bringing this thing to the ground. He's going to keep it standing. He's going to try to rack up the points there, and I just don't know that Dolidze can do something to change that. So I will go Vettori UD.
Oh, baby. So, Omar, what do you say?
He said the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vettori UD.
Omar, I was curious if you were going to go the other way. I know you're pretty high on Dolidze.
I do like him very much. But like I said, man, I kind of like you. Like I just think right now Vettori is just proving he's a step above. Maybe we'll get proven wrong. Maybe Dolidze will run right over him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But just with what I have to work with right now, I think Vettori can get it done. I don't think it'll be easy, and I don't think it'll be completely one-sided. I think it'll be completely competitive the entire 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I do not think this fight is going to go 3 rounds. And I think that Roman Dolidze is going to get the biggest win of his career. Wow. And I think he is going to hand Marvin Vettori his first TKO loss.
Wow.
Look, Vittori's a fucking tank. I think he's got to fall eventually. Now, Whitaker couldn't do it, but Whitaker doesn't carry the biggest power at 185 pounds. And Dolidze is a big man. He has a 3-inch height advantage over Vettori, and he carries a ton of power. And he's been fucking dudes up. I'm going to say yet again, round 2 TKO for Roman Dolidze.
All right.
It'll be cool if he breaks into the upper echelon of middleweight, man. It'll be some nice new blood.
Smart.
Well, sure, but it'll be just for the division. I think it'll be nice, like infusion of some new blood at the top there.
Especially if you ever did it like you just said.
Totally, yeah, for sure.
There'd be buzz on that name.
Okay, moving on now. Women's flyweight, Jennifer Maia taking on Casey O'Neill. Jennifer Maia, the 34-year-old out of Brazil, 20-9 with 1 draw. 4 knockouts, 5 subs, 11 decisions. Most recently defeating Marina Moroz back in November by decision. Standing across from her is the Aussie Casey King O'Neill, undefeated at 9-0, 25 years old, the Aussie from Queensland. 3 knockouts, 2 subs, and 4 decisions, most recently besting Roxanne Modafferi back in February of 2022, so over a year ago. And that fight was determined by a split decision. Mark, let me start with you this time. Give us your take and your pick of Maia versus O'Neill.
So what is wild to me is that Casey O'Neill is making her return from tearing her ACL, and she's doing it in like 10 months since she tore it, meaning she's been training for at least like a month or 2. So that is a hell of a quick heel job from an ACL. I did not think we were going to see her this soon. She is favored. She's minus 180. Jennifer Maia is plus 150. It is 2 inches of height and 5 inches of reach on the side of Casey O'Neill. As I said, it is her first fight back from an injury, so that will be interesting. See how she's moving in there. And honestly, this one's a coin toss for me. I have been impressed with Casey O'Neill the whole way through so far. I don't think she has looked untouchable or anything of that nature. Roxy was landing some solid shots on her. And Jennifer Maia is good everywhere and can score everywhere. I think she could rain on this Casey O'Neill parade potentially. You know, Maia's boxing is tough. Her grappling is obviously tough. I think I'm going to go Casey O'Neill, but I don't know what avenue to say she gets this done in. Like, it's one of these fights where usually I feel like the logic says go with the veteran, and I do that, but then I end up being wrong because the younger fighter like breaks through, and you wonder why you didn't believe in the younger fighter. So I'm going to try to get ahead of that here, and I'm going to pick Casey O'Neill, and I will say that it is maybe the pace that is a differentiator for her, just the pace and her aggression and willingness to be going for it at all times. So I'll say she scores more often and wins a decision.
Okay, Omar.
I second that take with a slight tweak. I think by the 3rd round, I think the pace is going to affect Maia. And I think she's going to be wearing it pretty hard. And I think Casey's going to be able to get her out of there via rear naked choke round 3.
Okay. This is a tough one. I like the veteran status of Jennifer Maia. But at 9-0, I can't deny Casey O'Neill's rising. It complicates things. It makes it interesting, the fact that she had the surgery, coming off a split decision against Roxanne. I'll still roll with her, though. Undefeated prospect. Also, she'll get out of there with a UD over the very tough Jennifer Maia. I think it's going to be a fairly close fight back and forth, so we'll see.
Real quick, Mark, did you see your boy is ready to go? Tom Aspinall's back.
Really?
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Much sooner than anticipated. He said he'd be ready for a fight in June.
When is Blades and Pavlovich?
I don't remember.
I'm looking right now. It's in April. Dude, if we know who the winner of that fight is, right? Especially if it's Blades. And we know Bones and Stipe are fighting in, what is it, July? And we know how long they tend to take. It would not shock me if the UFC was like, all right, you know what? Blades, you're sitting here. You didn't really beat Tom Aspinall. We're doing that fight. And I would be fucking pumped because that means one win and Tom Aspinall's fighting the winner of Jones and Stipe. It's possible. Might be the fan in me talking, but it's possible.
But Pavlovich is going to win that fight, so I don't know how accurate
maybe.
all that is.
Okay. Next fight up. Welterweight division. Gunnar Nelson taking on Bryan Barberena. So Gunny Nelson, the 34-year-old out of Iceland, 18-5, 1 draw, 12 wins by submission. Back in March, he got his most recent win over Takashi Sato. It was a UD. Bryan Barberena, Bam Bam is his nickname, the 33-year-old out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. 18-9 as a pro with 11 knockout wins on his record. Rafael dos Anjos snapped a 3-fight win streak in which Bryan Barberena took out a few legends in Matt Brown and Robbie Lawler, but RDA got him out of there with a submission via neck crank. Omar, let me toss it over to you first this time. Give me your take and your pick of Nelson versus Barberena.
I think it's a very interesting fight. I think stylistically, Gunnar Nelson is going to try to be more technical, and Barberena is going to try to run at him and probably make the fight as ugly as possible, as smothering as possible, trying to keep Gunnar Nelson on his back foot. And the reality is, I think if this was the Gunnar Nelson of years ago, I don't know if he'd be able to do that. I think I'd have a lot more faith in Gunny's ability to stop that, especially with his top game. And his long-range karate strikes as well. I have been less than impressed with his performances as of late, even his win against Takashi Sato. I thought his distance management was less than good. And I thought there was a lot of moments there where, he uses grappling to his advantage in that Sato fight for sure. But the striking, I thought, didn't really hold up for me. I've seen him do better. So, Barberena is not a technician by any stretch of the imagination, so there is an avenue there for Nelson to win. Potentially, it might not be as exciting as we'd want it to be, if that does end up being the case. But I do think Barberena is a fight that Nelson can win, whether lackluster or not. But I'm going to go with Gunnar Nelson by unanimous decision.
Let's go.
Gunny is favored pretty big. He's minus 390. Bryan Barberena is plus 300. I was pumped for the original Gunnar versus D-Rod matchup, but Barberena is a pretty fun fill-in, I got to say. They are the same size. Honestly, for this one, it just comes down to that I feel like Barberena is going to get out-grappled again. I have a really hard time taking him against grapplers. And I do think it helps Gunnar also that his style on the feet is what it is, where he kind of keeps that space standing. He fights long. I think that can kind of help from allowing Barberena to build up steam the way that he does when he starts to land a lot. Gunny does occasionally get tired which could absolutely be a problem if Barberena is still there in like round 3. Could get interesting, but I just have a hard time thinking that he will get there against a grappler like Gunny. He does not make smart decisions really in any grappling situations to me. And I even mean on the feet, like initial, clinches, things like that, and then on the mat as well. I think it's just going to go badly. I think Gunnar is too smart. I think he can sucker Barberena into something, and I will take him to win by rear naked choke in the second round.
Gunny. To me, this is a tricky fight to pick. They're stylistically, it's interesting because they're quite opposite. Gunnar Nelson is the ever stoic grappler. Bryan Barberena is the, in his own words, the blue collar brawler. Often tries to kind of create chaos in there. So, yeah, I agree with Mark. I think I like the calm veteran nature of Gunny Nelson. I don't know, man. I'm really on the fence with this one. Like, he just might not have the defenses to kind of keep Barberena off of him.
No Gunny result ever surprises me. Like, he can be so good.
Yeah.
And then it can just be like, his powers are gone. What happened?
Yeah. His powers are gone. And I'll say this about Nelson. He sometimes doesn't seem like the toughest guy. Like, if it doesn't go his way, he can get hurt kind of quickly and kind of easily, I feel. I'm going to go with Gunnar Nelson, though. I'm going to say in this one, he rolls back the clock a little bit. And, yeah, I think he's going to win on the ground. And I'll say he gets a choke in the third round. Okay, man. This is up there with one of the best co-mains I can remember.
Yeah, this is awesome.
This is guaranteed violence.
Yep.
In the best way. Lightweight division, Justin Gaethje taking on Rafael Fiziev. So Gaethje, Justin, the highlight Gaethje, the 34-year-old out of Arizona. He's 23-4 as a pro with 19 knockouts on his record. He is coming off of a loss at the hands of Charles Oliveira. Gaethje, man, he's one of the greats already at lightweight, dude. He really is. Standing across from him will be another guy who's rising in the ranks. Rafael Fiziev, Ataman is his nickname, the 30-year-old out of Azerbaijan. 12-1 as a professional, 8 of those wins coming by way of knockout. Add 1 submission victory to that, which gives you a 75% win rate. And he's riding a 6-fight win streak coming into this weekend. So a tremendous and consequential matchup going down at lightweight. Mark, let me throw it over to you first. Give us your take and your pick of this lightweight matchup between Gaethje and Fiziev.
So I don't know what I thought the odds would be, but they are striking to me in that Rafael Fiziev is minus 230 as the favorite, and Justin Gaethje is a plus 190 dog.
Wow.
So it's just, kind of interesting to see the more established guy as the dog here, but I do get it. Gaethje will be 3 inches taller, but there's going to be a 1.5-inch reach advantage on the side of Fiziev, which is interesting. So, yeah, I love this fight. Justin Gaethje is unreal. He's an absolute fucking dog. He will push you to your physical limit. He has a chin for days. He only has 1 speed. I mean, the guy is the highlight for a reason. But the reason I am laying that all up to start is that I think he is going to get hurt in this fight. He gets hit. I don't think his technique is where Fiziev's is. I think Fiziev's accuracy is a problem. I think his speed is a problem. You could argue that Gaethje could always pull his wrestling out, which he never really has to, but maybe in a matchup like this it would make sense. However, we just saw Fiziev show some unreal takedown defense against RDA all fight long, so I don't even know if that's an option. I don't know if Gaethje's favorite weapon of his leg kicks is going to be as effective as usual against the guy with the kickboxing acumen and background of a Rafael Fiziev. And I just think he's going to end up getting hurt here. I give him big props for being the first guy in like that established top tier. We've talked about this before at lightweight to actually say yes to one of these dangerous up and coming dudes. Like I'm very excited to see a fight like this where it's like lightweight legend versus new lightweight killer. We haven't gotten as many of those as we should, but I just don't think his style is a style that gives all that much trouble to a striker the caliber of Rafael Fiziev. Like, if he finds a pressure game that really forces Fiziev to back up and have to react a lot, then I could see him pull it off. But if we're talking any kind of exchanging, I just favor Fiziev. I think we see varied damage on Gaethje, kicks to the legs, body shots, some clean head shots, and I just think it adds up and Gaethje goes down. I will say Rafael Fiziev, round 2 knockout.
Whew. Omar.
It's not bad, man. I mean, the Muay Thai on Fiziev's end is definitely more technical than Justin Gaethje's is. But I think Gaethje's got a smart team behind him. He's got, the low kicks that Gaethje has literally ruined people's legs in the middle of a fight. And Fiziev's going to need them. Maybe he's probably one of the few that are checked properly and all this other good stuff. But if Justin Gaethje does bring his wrestling out, that's a real problem for Fiziev if you can't keep him off of him. If not, though, I kind of agree. I think Fiziev puts on a clinic of sorts. I do think there'll be competitive moments, but I think all in all, I think the striking is going to make Justin Gaethje very uncomfortable. I don't think he ends up putting him out, but I do think he ends up taking the 3 rounds in a competitive fight, but a clear 3 rounds for Fiziev. Unanimous decision.
Wow. It just hit me that this is only 3 rounds. Man, my mind does this all the time. I see an amazing fight, and I just assume it's 5 rounds. Good thing I picked round 2, and I didn't sit here sounding like an idiot and be like, I'm going to say round 5 knockout. Oh, Jesus, that sucks. Why isn't this 5? It's fucking whack.
Yeah, this could be a main event. I'm going to go in the opposite direction as you guys. I'm going to say that Justin Gaethje has a y'all must have forgot performance and looks tremendous. The Trevor Whitman fighter always comes ready to fight. Ever since his loss to Dustin Poirier, I think he's a changed man. And he's only lost to the very, very, very best of the division.
Yep.
I mean, we'll see if Fiziev proves to be also at the upper echelon. But for now, I'm going to stick with Gaethje. I'm going to say that he turns in a vintage performance and hands Fiziev his worst loss of his career. I'm going to go with Gaethje by knockout. I'll say round 3.
I would be pumped to see it.
Me too.
Someone had to take Gaethje.
Somebody had to.
Dude, the only other person I can think of with Muay Thai in the UFC right now that technical to actual Muay Thai is Edson Barboza.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
He's the only other one I could think of that uses Muay Thai like actual Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Fiziev's Matrix shit is wild. But we're doing that in class. That shit is hell on your knees, number 1. And that, like, going all the way back, yeah, your boy don't have that. My back doesn't do that.
All right, boys, it's main event time.
Boom.
Here we go. Leon Edwards taking on Kamaru Usman for the 3rd time. Just to set this up real quick. They fought somewhat recently, about 6-8 months ago. Well, I guess it's not that recent. It feels like it was last week. Man, it's stuck in my memory. I think that's why I feel that way. Leon Edwards, the 31-year-old out of England. He is 20-3 with 1 no contest, 7 knockouts, 3 subs, 10 decisions on his record. His last loss was to Kamaru Usman back in December of 2015. He has gone undefeated since then. with one no contest 3 fights ago against Bilal Muhammad, in which there was an accidental eye poke. Edwards poked Muhammad by accident, and the fight had to end. But he was winning that fight, I believe. And then he fought Nate Diaz in a funny fight, which we won't get into here. He walked away the winner by decision. And then he fought Usman in a rematch. Tried to avenge his loss. And he was getting worked for 4 rounds. And then in the 5th round...
Yeah, he won round 1.
For 3.
Forget that.
Okay, fine. But round 1 was close. He took him down in round 1.
I didn't think it was close at all.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Really?
That was all Leon.
Well, then the tides turned very quickly.
Yes. That's true. That's true.
Usman was taking his lunch money for 3 rounds.
Yes.
True.
And anyway, I'll let you guys get into it a bit more. Ended by head kick in the 5th round. Tremendous, tremendous stuff, man. Usman, the Nigerian nightmare, the 35-year-old, originally from Delray Beach, Florida. He is 20-2 as a pro with 9 knockouts, 10 decisions. Out of his 2 losses, the one most recently is only his 2nd loss. I don't have it right in front of me, but I know that his first loss came very early in his pro career, and then he went on quite a tear as a pro, as well as to the UFC, undefeated in the UFC up to last August, and we're here, fight number 3, which, like I said earlier, really feels like a rematch. Mark, let me start it off with you. Give us that take. Give us that pick, baby.
Okay. The challenger, Kamaru Usman, is minus 250 as the favorite. Leon Edwards is a plus 200 dog. Here we go. We're doing it again. The trilogy. It's 1-1. I picked Leon Edwards last time. He fought the worst fight that I could have ever imagined him fighting, to the point that I was yelling at my TV, dumbfounded as to what he was doing, and he still won. And I'm picking him again. It seems like the whole world is on Usman. The whole world is pointing to the fact that Usman was winning all along last time, if not for this kick, and now Usman will win again. Obviously, as I just told you, he's a minus 250 favorite. I disagree. I think Leon's confidence will be in a much different place now. I think it helps him that he's at home. I think the crowd is going to be hugely behind him. I think he fights a much more aggressive and tactical fight the way I expected him to the first time. I said this in our recap of the last fight, but in that fight, Leon, like so many others, fell into the pattern of wilting to the pressure that Kamaru brings in there and being willing to back up. He let Kamaru dictate the space. He was willing to fight off his back foot with his back to the cage. And in doing that, he took away what makes him great. He closed his toolbox, if you will. And not to mention, I also think the elevation played a big role in that. If you remember that card, Leon looked a little bit off. Like as soon as we got past the first round, it's the card where Rockhold and Costa looked so tired. Even Merab wasn't exactly Merab on that card. The only guy who looked like himself was Usman, who trains at elevation. And now we're on equal playing field here. So I think that could be a factor as well. But going back to that fight, I said this then, and again, it's a small sample size, but in round 5, as soon as Leon finally stopped backing up, as soon as he went for it, he started landing everything. Instead of conceding when Usman would throw, he would feint. He would throw something small, and he would step forward and retake the space instead of just continually backing up. And when he did that, the toolbox was open again. And for about a minute and a half before that kick, he was winning the fight. And he was finally making Usman think. He was making Usman react. And that's why he landed that kick. He was able to freeze Kamaru because his weapons are many. And if Kamaru has to think about Leon and react to Leon as opposed to the other way around, it's a different fight. And I have faith that we're going to see that from Leon this time. I think we see the full version of Leon. Maybe it's not another KO, but I think it is a better overall performance. I will say he wins it either 49-46 or more likely I'll say just a clear 48-47, not something that is controversial where he definitely gets 3 of these. but give me Leon Edwards to defend his belt in the UK by UD.
Wowza. Wow. Omar, you're up. Hit us.
Trying to think if there's a world where Leon Edwards knocks out Kamaru Usman again. I mean, it was a Hail Mary shot, the first one.
Oh, it sure was.
I don't think that happens the second time. But I thought the first round in that first fight was very telling. I think that it showed that Edwards was not afraid of what Kamaru Usman brings to the table, which I think a lot of people can be very intimidated after or during a fight with Kamaru, knowing what he brings in terms of the wrestling, control, ability to nullify somebody's game. I don't think Edwards played into that in the first round, but I do think, like Mark said, the elevation just might have cut him early. And I don't think he was the same fighter 2, 3, and 4. And I think we needed that speech in round 5, and even to start round 5, man, like, looked like he had to dig deep for everything else that he had, man, because, Kamaru didn't even look like he was really breathing hard. But he threw a beautiful cross. The story writes itself, like we said, but throws a cross, throws a kick right behind it, and just completely destroys Kamaru Usman. And while I don't think he catches him again, I do think the change in circumstance around that fight, including the elevation, having beaten him before now, being in home territory, all the things that kind of Mark already went over, I do think that is going to play a big factor overall. And I think some of these rounds will be competitive. I wouldn't even be surprised if they go back and forth, 1-1 and 1-1 until we get to the 5th round. But I do think that Leon leaves the victor. I think he wins 3 out of the 5 rounds, and I think we're going to be and still.
Wow. I can't believe both you guys are.
Did I sway you, or were you going that way from jump?
No, man. I've been thinking about Leon winning that fight for a minute now. And it's kind of crazy. Like, I don't really feel like... I don't really want to count Usman out.
Yeah, it feels
but
wild.
There's just something about the way Leon has been carrying himself that hasn't, for me, been over the top. Right? There are a lot of guys that, like, are almost, like, too much after they win something like this, where they're feeling themselves and they're almost overconfident and stuff like that. But I think Leon is still, while confident, measured. If anything, I think he knows now what he can do against Kamaru Usman with full faculties in front of him. So I think it's going to work for him, man. I do.
What you got, Mike?
Yeah, so I feel like what's interesting about this fight is that both of these guys could be coming in here with a lot of confidence, because Usman can be saying to himself, I was working this man and I was cruising to a win.
He has been saying it every chance he gets.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. And Edwards can be saying, even though I was down in the cards, all I need is one moment of the fight and I can win, because I have the skills and I have the striking skill and I have the power. Equally, I think both guys, forget about whatever they say in the media week, because they're going to talk a big game. They both can have a lot of like apprehension, because Usman can say like, man, I fought such a great fight, but all it took was one moment where I kind of like let my guard down a little too much and got knocked out. And Edwards can say the opposite too, of like, fuck, like I won, but I was getting like my shit like fucked up for 3 straight rounds. I think I would love to see Edwards win, but I think that I'm going to make the smart pick here, which I think is a smart pick, and I'm going to think that I think that Usman is going to bring in a very similar game plan, and he is going to be that much more cautious, and he's going to say, I just have to not get caught. I have to avoid that bomb. He has to take a page out of John Jones' playbook and say, I need to be really good at avoiding that bomb. And I think he's going to sail to a UD victory and get his belt back. And I think that it would be kind of interesting if we can find an angle where we can get fight number 4, kind of a la Moreno and Figueiredo. Do you think that's possible? If it's a close fight, if this third fight is a close fight, with the state of the elite upper echelon of welterweight, do you think it's possible to line up fight number 4?
Something would need to happen. It would need to be a draw or something. I don't think winning or losing at this point is going to make it an immediate rematch. I think something crazy would need to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it would ever be immediate. Now, obviously if Leon wins, that's the end of it. If Usman wins and then defends against, whoever you want to say, Bilal, and Leon fights like Colby and beats him, then maybe I could see it happen again. But I don't think immediate.